This is Emily Sterick Thomas, and today we're going to be talking about how to create and implement Google Classroom into your classroom. Before we begin, these are the objectives of this video. I'm going to show you how to add an assignment that each student types in and submits on their own, how to upload a rubric or another document that students can only see but not edit, and how to grade and return assignments and print grade sheets. There are some pre-assumptions here. We are assuming that you have basic internet knowledge. I'm assuming that you already have a Google account and that you have a working knowledge of how to use Google Docs. The first thing you're going to do is go to Google Classroom. It's classroom.google.com. It's going to ask you if you are a teacher or a student. You are going to choose that you are a teacher. However, when you guide your students through this process, they obviously need to choose that they are a student. This is my Google Classroom homepage. As you can see, I already have a lot of classes started, but I'm going to show you how to add a class. When you begin, you won't have any classes already here. You'll add them by clicking this plus sign right here. It says either join a class or create a class. Now when you walk your students through this process, you're going to have them click join a class. However, today I'm going to create a class. First, we'll ask me for the class name. I teach Spanish, so I'm going to say Spanish 1. Then the section, I like to say what hour and then the year. So this would be for the 15-16 school year. And then I click create. So here I am now in my newly created classroom. Some things I like to take care of ahead of time. This is where students will join. It says invite students or give them this code to join. Do you remember back whenever I clicked that I was going to create a class? If I was going to click join a class, it would ask me for the class code. This is where students will enter the class code. Now because I teach high schoolers and they think they're funny, I immediately go up here my students and I change it so that only the teacher can post or comment. Because you definitely do not want kids going in there and posting ridiculous things. They're about this class. I can give options for this class. I can talk about what room we meet in, all these things. I tend to not always fill these out. Now this is where, in a minute, we're going to talk about how to give an announcement or an assignment. Now we're going to talk about creating and adding an assignment. So the first thing you have to do is you have to create a worksheet in Google Docs. Now this is one of those things that I told you I already assumed you would be able to do. So I have already created a worksheet in my Google Docs. I'm going to show it to you now. Okay, this is the worksheet that I've created. It's just about affirmative to commands, which is what my students are learning right now. But I have this available in my Google Docs. Because these accounts are linked, what I can do is I click on assignment. I'm going to create a new assignment, so I'm going to just call it the name of this, affirmative to commands. Sometimes I'll give a description about when this is due, or I'll say, this is due tomorrow. The notes are in the book on page 9, or whatever special information I want to give them. I can change the due date. I can even make a due time. Now, it allows you to attach an assignment from your computer file or a disk. However, mine's in Google Drive, so I'm going to click the Google Drive right here. I'm going to go, I have to navigate through to where my worksheet was. There it is. Now, you have several options here. This says students can view the file. That means they can look at it but not edit. The other options are students can edit the file, but here's the one I like. Make a copy for each student. This way, each student has a worksheet that they do, and then they submit it to me when they are done. Now, if I'm done, I can go ahead and assign this. And students will immediately get an email popping up telling them how to do this. Now there are some other really neat options that you can do as well. You can leave announcements. I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, I use a flipped classroom model sometimes where students have to watch a video by a certain date. I put these in as announcements, not as assignments. So I might say, watch this video by tomorrow. And this is going to be the flipped classroom model of this class. So watch video for tomorrow. I'm going to go through my Google Drive again. And navigate to where my videos are. And I'm going to go ahead and choose the video. Now, our students don't have YouTube access, so that's why I tend to not link it through YouTube, but you certainly can. And then I can go ahead and post it. So now the students can view that and they know that it is. So the last thing we're going to talk about is how to grade an assignment once students have submitted it back to you. Okay, so here's an assignment my students did on a block day that we had. And they have that they're done. So what I have to do is I have to click their name. Then I can click their assignment and it opens their assignment that they've done. So some really neat options that it has is as I look at it or grade it, I can change my mode to where I'm making suggestions, and I can maybe do this and say, I can add a comment. I can say, look at this part again. And I'm able to highlight the part that I mean for them to look at. And this way I can submit it back to them and they can submit it back to me over and over and over again until we both feel like we have a good option, that we have a good just understanding of this lesson. So then when I'm done, I can go through and I've said this is only worth 5 points, so I can assign 5 points, and I can even leave a private comment. Great job. Look at notes. Then I can post it back to her. Now, the great thing is that when I'm all the way done with this, if I click download, I can download just a grid of this assignment, or when I want to print all assignments, I can download all the assignments, and it will create for me a grade sheet with everyone's name and their grade and all the assignments that we have done so far. So here is the spreadsheet that it opened up for me, and because we don't have a lot of assignments right now, that wasn't open, but you can see that it would just print it out for me in a spreadsheet, and that makes it a lot easier for me to enter it in our school's gradebook system. So just a couple next steps to consider as you go on. It's really important when you use Google Classroom that you get student buy-in. You need the students to understand the purpose of why we're doing this. You need to walk them through the steps, show them how to do it. I usually take an entire class period to do this. Also, you need to ask for feedback. The students can give you good feedback to how they feel about it or if they need more facilitation. A big problem is that some kids don't have internet access. You need to let them know when the libraries are open at school that they can do this, or local libraries. Also, local businesses sometimes offer free internet access for students working on projects. For example, in our town, the Chick-fil-A and the McDonald's both have free Wi-Fi if kids are doing homework. Also, the cable provider near us will provide cable for a home for $10 a month if the student qualifies for free and reduced lunch. So these are some things to think about as you move into the next steps of using Google Classroom in your own classroom. Thank you, and let me know if you have any questions.